Jason, do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda? All right, given that, let's jump right to item number 4.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
Before you do that, I'm waiting as we speak for an update from Gallatin County because this morning they voted on the passenger rail authority. Yeah, I've got a message.
Fingers crossed for late breaking news.
Yeah.
Well, stand by. We might have it over the next hour. So
that's a big one. That'll be a big. They'll go, and then Yellowstone will have to reconsider. Then we'll tell them it's too late. We're just going to go. Railroad's going to go through Red Lodge. That's just how it's going to be. All right, Jason Hauser.
Yes, sir.
We're ready for you.
Okay, so this is change order 10 from the library. It's a change order. I'm not exactly sure what's expected here. So this is my first meeting with you guys like this. So I guess there's 15 items on it. I can go through each item if you'd prefer, or I can just tell you the dollar amount, depending on what you guys want.
I mean, do you feel like there's anything here that's a big red flag, or is it all pretty much all right?
It's pretty standard. I talked to Larry before he'd left. He and I went through it. It's pretty much standard stuff that he thought was all copacetic at the time. So it's, pretty straightforward.
Do you know how much is left in our contingency fund on the library?
I don't know that answer, but I will find that out, and I can send you an email today. That I don't have that answer. Sorry.
It looks like the project's coming to a close.
It should be very close. I think we're getting. I would like to think that this is pretty much it, but again, I've been to one meeting on site with people for a few hours, and that's about it. So I will do some more research and find out on that contingency fund.
Sure.
Jason, I have a question.
Andrew,
Are any of these change orders related to COVID? I know Dick Anderson was talking about submitting some additional costs related to COVID-19.
No, nothing, Andrew, that I read on this has any COVID literature on it that I could see, and I'm briefing through it real quick again just to make sure, but I didn't see anything on it that related to COVID at all, no.
Okay. What's the total amount of the change orders?
Our side of it, the GMP is, well, do we pay the GMC or the contingency fund, I guess is the question I would have. So it's, there's a $50,282.53 change order. It says $3,547.32 will come from construction contingency, and $46,735.21 comes from owner's contingency. So we're $46,735.21.
Okay.
Jason, could you explain for me what's the difference between the two contingencies? What's the smaller amount coming out of the $3,000 amount?
That I don't know the answer. What the difference between the two funds is, I can tell you what's coming out of theirs and what's coming out of ours. I'm assuming that they had in their contract they had some contingency money set aside for certain things that may arise, and that's what they're covering. Like in this one, they're going to cover the concealed brackets for underneath some countertops. But like we are replacing some. We are paying for lights that don't meet code and some other things like that, access to mechanical devices, some signage, things such as that.
Okay. Thanks.
I don't know if that.
Well, I would go ahead and move that we approve the change order number 10 for the library project.
second.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason. Welcome to
Yeah.
our admin meetings. Hopefully that was painless.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous at this. I'll get better, I promise, but.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah. All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Jason.
you.
Have a good day.
Cindy, do you want to jump in?
Sure. I would like to request that the board approve the chair to sign a certification of completion and a status of funds report for the Treasure State Endowment Program, or TSEP grant, that partially funded the preliminary engineering report for phase 2 of the Buena Vista wastewater system improvement project. This is just a final piece that we need to close that grant out and move on to the next phase.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Indeed.
There are almost as many steps with this as there is with the Lindbergh Lake Bridge.
Oh my goodness. I do feel like the Buena Vista wastewater system has been it keeps circling back. So I'm glad we're getting close.
Well, and I'll be chatting with you later in the agenda about the next steps.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
we're done with the preliminary engineering report, so we can proceed.
Great. I move we approve that Slotnick signed the certificate of completion and status of funds report.
I will second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Josh, I have the next agenda item.
Excellent.
I'm just going to read exactly what's on the RCA. The Montana Attorney General's Office has requested appointment of an Assistant Attorney General to prosecute the case of State v. Jessica Emery. And this is something that the Attorney General Office wants to handle because the action was investigated and prosecution has been initiated by the AG's office, and they want to continue prosecuting that to the bitter end. Missoula County Attorney's Office has no objection to the appointment of a special Assistant Attorney General to prosecute this action. It doesn't cost Missoula County any money, and it frees up our staff to prosecute the cases that we investigate and initiate. So I would recommend that the board adopt a resolution appointing a special, looks like it's a special deputy county attorney from the AG's office in the matter of State v. Emery.
All right.
I would move that we adopt the resolution.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, John.
Aye.
Yeah, you bet.
You got another one.
Josh, I have the next agenda item too.
Okay.
Pine Drive.
This is and this is an agreement actually that if you choose to approve it, you're going to approve that the chair of the commission sign this agreement. But this Pine Drive boundary retracement survey, quiet title, and perpetual public road right-of-way and utility easement agreement does a variety of things. It's a three-party agreement. It's between the Seeley Lake Sewer District, two heirs to some property in Seeley Lake, and Missoula County is the third party to the agreement. The good news for Missoula County is that we are only obligated to do one thing under this agreement, and that is to perform a retracement survey of the property that the two sisters inherited, and record that survey, and that survey will then be a basis for the sisters to initiate a quiet title action in district court so that they can get a judicial determination that they are indeed the owners of the property. That also includes Pine Drive, the drive that you might recall that you recently designated as a county road at a public meeting within the last month. Steve Niday's on the line, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but he has already performed the retracement survey, reduced that to survey, and it is ready to be recorded. And so with that, I would recommend that Missoula County, that the commissioners authorize the chair to enter into the Pine Drive agreement that's before you today. Steve, did I cover the ground that I needed to cover? Is there anything that you want the commissioners to know before they either ask questions or consider this?
No, you covered it. I think the only thing that I would add is that once this COS is recorded, I will write up a resolution to accept the road that was petitioned, and that resolution will refer to this COS. So that'll be coming before you in the next week or two, and that's just kind of the final step of that petition process.
Steve, what is a retracement survey?
It's a survey that retraces, literally, the lines that were established previously by some deed or other survey. So we basically go out and find any monuments that were set in those previous surveys, reconcile the record dimensions that were given on the previous documents with what we find in the field, make any adjustments based on those discrepancies, and then produce a document that I can't think of another word other than retraces, re-images, re-illustrates those previous record documents.
So did you find any discrepancies that necessitated adjustments?
Actually, no. This survey was done by a fellow by the name of Arthur Stanley. Long ago survey that I've had a pleasure to retrace, refollow in the field on many occasions, and he does an absolutely outstanding job of measuring, given that technology of the day. I'm finding distances within a few hundredths of a foot difference than what he found with a steel tape and plumb bobs and a very crude instrument. It's always a joy to follow his work, and he actually produces fairly elaborate drawings with colorations and some artistry to them. So he's one of the good guys that I enjoy following.
Steve, what was his official position?
He was just I don't think he was ever a county surveyor, so he was a private licensed surveyor.
Okay.
He's just, as a point of reference, he did a lot of work on the perimeter of Greeno Park and did some excellent work there too. So I had an occasion to follow him on that.
What year are we talking about?
The Pine Drive area was 1950.
Well, thanks, Mr. Stanley.
Yes.
Nice.
Dave, I'm glad you asked that question so we could hear that story. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, that was good. Thanks, Mr. Niday.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I move to authorize that Slotnick sign the agreement to approve the Pine Drive Boundary Retracement Survey, quiet title, and perpetual public road right-of-way and utility easement.
I will second that, although it will be sad to see Pine Drive not appear on our agendas anymore.
Well, we get one more, right?
Oh,
Steve, do we get it
yeah,
one more
don't-
time?
You get to sign the resolution, but that doesn't have to come before the admin. Well, I guess it does. Yeah. Yeah, you get one
Okay.
more shot at it.
One more
Excellent.
thought? Okay. Well, thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nice. Okay, we're jumping to Nicole Rush.
Good morning. So I have two items today. One's a correspondence item. The first item is been working with Brian West and Paige Williams from Audience Awards on a formalized promissory note for repayment of her company's BSDF grant that was awarded back in 2017. And we have now created a schedule that will pay back that grant to the county in full by December 2020.
How much was it, Nicole?
$20,700.
Okay.
We'll take it.
Well, yeah, thanks for bird dogging this, Nicole. So I would move that we approve the promissory note.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Nicole.
Sure. Do you mind if I jump to my correspondence
Sure,
item
go.
or?
Yeah, then you can be done. Yeah.
Okay. So other item is a letter requesting the Department of Commerce. We just need to change the business name for Coaster Cycles that their grant was awarded to. The grant is under Coaster Pedicab Manufacturing, and it turns out that the employing company of their workforce is Coaster Pedicab Inc., their parent company. So it's just an administrative change and requires a contract amendment.
We can sign that.
Great.
Thanks, commissioners.
All right. Thanks,
Cool.
Nicole.
See you, Nicole.
Thank you. John Hart, you're back.
So commissioners, I've brought to you a request to abandon a public utility easement, which comes from the Department of trying to do the public a favor. A little bit of background here. This public utility easement was platted on the subdivision plat of Racetrack Development Park Phase 1 in 2009. And on that plat, the utility easement benefited both lots 1 and lot 2. In 2019, there was an amended plat of the Racetrack Industrial Park Lot 9 and Racetrack Development Park Phase 1 Lots 1 and 2, which reconfigured the boundaries of the 2009 subdivision such that the public utility easement is now wholly within the boundaries of only one lot, and that is lot 1A of the amended plat of Racetrack Industrial Park Lot 9. The owner of Lot 1A would like to develop their property, but because of this public utility easement, there are some development restrictions because this just sort of cuts right into the center and then dead ends in the middle of their lot. And so they came to Steve Nide and myself and said, what can we do? And because there is no public purpose for this utility easement, because there is only one lot that benefits by it, and that lot no longer wants the benefit of that easement, this is one where we can say, abandon this public utility easement, and this document is the instrument that would do that for the owner of Lot 1A. We've got Steve Nide on the phone too. Hopefully he has equally interesting story as he did with this surveyor for Pine Drive to tell us in regard to this particular request. but I won't speak for him. Steve, do you have anything to add to sort of flesh out what I presented about this abandonment?
I think Steve left.
Steve bailed on me?
Yeah.
He's retracing something as we speak.
Yeah, he's exactly. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Commissioners, do you have any questions about this?
No, it sounds like a perfectly good abandonment that it doesn't really affect anybody.
That's exactly what I was trying to say.
I knew that nugget was in there somewhere. I will. Let's see. I will move that we approve the abandonment of public utility easement on Lot 1A.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, commissioners.
Hey, Josh, do you mind if we have a drum roll moment?
Absolutely, I would love a drum roll.
So just in Bozeman, Montana, Gallatin County is the first county in the state of Montana to adopt the joint resolution to establish the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority.
That's really great. That's really great.
Okay.
Martin,
what was that, Josh?
I just want to make sure Martin digested that.
Oh, I got it. That was pretty cool.
Good,
Nice
good.
drum roll.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Well done.
Okay. Sorry for that interruption.
Okay,
Oh,
standard employment agreement.
Yeah, so this is a standard renewal agreement for partnership. This is a dentist they brought on board last year that they're just renewing. Again, you'll remember their contracts, their employment contracts with providers only run the 1 year. And so, of course, July 1st came, it expired. So this is just a renewal for a dentist.
Okay. Let's keep on drilling over there at PHC.
I move the board to approve the standard employment agreement.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Aye.
Okay. Deb Bell.
Yes, good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Great. Today I have a certificate of completion, a lot like the one that Cindy Kennedy had before you first thing this morning. This one is with the DNRC. We had a $125,000 grant from them to install the Lewis and Clark wastewater septic tank, and that project is now complete. We actually managed to come in under budget on that, so wahoo.
It's great.
Good news.
Wow, well done.
Yeah, I will move that we sign the approved Lewis and Clark wastewater system certificate of completion.
Second.
Great.
How
all
much
in
under
favor?
budget did we come?
We came in $9,165.67 under budget.
That's pretty darn good.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Second.
Nice job.
Aye. Sorry. Sorry. Aye.
Aye, aye.
Okay, we have some EAC bylaws.
Morning, everybody. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Nathan.
Great, great. So previously we had submitted these bylaws. We were working with an outdated version of them. These ones are the correct version. And so they have the same changes as before, the eligibility requirements. We've eliminated the libertarian member and their alternate, replaced it with an at-large member. There is one additional at-large member, so the board goes from 7 to 9 seats. And it's pretty straightforward. We were just wanted to put in the correct bylaws and fix what we had kind of aired on before.
And Nathan, the elimination of the Libertarian representative reflects that there's no active Libertarian Central Committee. Is that correct?
Correct. They have been inactive, and as was discussed at the last EAC meeting, and we're going to go ahead and ask to remove that Libertarian member and replace him with an at-large member because they just have not been active.
And if I remember right, this has been a record of inactivity that spans a handful of years. Is that not
Yes,
correct?
and in fact, they have not been active since they gained that seat on the board. They've just had no representation, and their central committee is no longer active in the county, is in my understanding.
Just wanted to get that out there. Thank you, Nathan.
Of course.
And then if they were to reactivate, what happens? What would the process be?
Well, and so they would always be eligible to have representation on the board again. I mean, it is something that they could request in the future if they, if they became active again. It would just, of course, require more bylaw change. But I mean, they're more than welcome to come and attend the meeting, or they can also, have an at-large member.
Great.
Thanks.
Thanks. I move that we adopt the changes to EAC bylaws to ensure that all information is most current.
Thanks.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nathan.
Of course.
Thank you.
We knocked out correspondence number 1. So number 2. Chris, do you want to talk about this?
Actually, it is Casey, so I'll defer to Casey.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, Casey.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, commissioners. So this is just our official letter of interest to the GSA for the federal building conveyance. So this process will close, I believe, on the morning of the 7th is when the screening for public entities and homelessness assistance will close. At that point, we'll know if anyone else applied to have the opportunity to put in an application for the federal building, and we'll move on from there.
Casey, do we sign this in conjunction with the city? How does that work?
Yep, so the mayor will also be signing this. So at this point, it's just we need someone to sign it that can bind us in a contract. So I have just requested that Josh, you sign it as the chair.
I'm great at getting myself into a bind. I'm totally happy.
Yeah. So, yeah, so once you sign it, it'll be passed over to the mayor and have him sign it, and then we'll submit it to the GSA.
Wonderful.
Pretty much it just lays out the timeline we're requesting to complete an application and our due diligence, the reason why we're looking at using the building, so using it for offices pretty much and public space, and under what statute, which is the historical monument statute that we'll be requesting it under.
Great. Thanks a lot for all your project management on this. It's a big, complicated thing, and I imagine will be part of your life for a couple of years to come.
Yeah, it's an exciting project, so excited to get it going.
Well, we're really glad that you're on it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Casey.
Yep.
Thanks, Casey. Hey, Annie has a chat note asking for
thanks.
Margaret's last name. I don't know who Margaret is.
We have a guest on the phone by the name of Margaret, and I was just hoping to catch her last name for the record.
Looks like she just posted it on the chat for you, Annie.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, our next correspondence item is the memorial response.
So I'll lean in a little bit, probably to Anne here and Allison also. This is the letter in response to the gentleman who wrote to the commission regarding placing an additional sign. You had your discussion and directed staff to draft a letter, which you've actually signed, but we needed to notice. And I was out last week on vacation, so wasn't able to present that. So this just is that response to that citizen, letting him know that current Montana statute actually provides a greater penalty than what the feds do related to damage to monuments in the state of Montana. And so this just kind of covers that response.
Great. I mean, this was one I felt some desire to speak on, and that I feel like if we were to put such a plaque on this monument, it would in fact be an act of disingenuousness, and that the executive order that the president made happen says that if you damage a monument on federal property, the federal government would prosecute you. And our beloved Doughboy statue is not on federal property. And the law would only otherwise apply if the vandal crossed state lines to do these bad acts or use the mail system, which both seem quite improbable. And we have these powerful laws in place that prosecute vandals. So it's not a fit here. And I feel like we have not only protected this statue, but restored it and brought it back to glory and highlighted it on the corner of the courthouse. And I feel good about what we're doing.
And Chris, has the letter already been transmitted to the individual or not? Do we still need to route this through DocuSign, or has?
I believe it was sent last week.
Okay, that's what I thought.
He sent you a letter saying I did a bad job.
Yeah, there was that.
There was that.
Okay, so he's received it. That's we're all
Yeah.
secure in that. We know that he has it. Okay, I was confused. It sounded like he hadn't received a response from us.
Yeah, no, he has. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thanks, Josh, for
Thank you.
on that and clarifying.
Okay. Let's see. Lost my spot here. Discussion. Okay, now we're on to discussion items. Request to discuss the submission of a community development block grant. So this sounds like a Cindy Kennedy production.
Yes, indeed. This is Cindy Kennedy with Grants and Community Programs. I mainly just wanted to discuss with the Commission submitting a Community Development Block Grant CDBG proposal to the Montana Department of Commerce, which is due September 15th. And we have been approached by the Buena Vista community once again and asked to submit a CDBG application on their behalf, among other grant applications and loan applications, to support phase 2 of the Buena Vista Wastewater System Improvement Project. And part of the process for submitting a CDBG grant, as well as the DNRC grant that we already submitted, is that we have to have a public hearing with the community where they formally request that we apply for this grant, and then ask any questions. During that public hearing, the engineer will present the preliminary engineering report, and I will present more information about funding and what's involved in securing some of these grants and loans. And then on Monday, I will formally present the grant opportunity assessment during the BCC CAPS meeting, but I mainly wanted to let you folks know that we will be having a public hearing this Thursday at 6 p.m. And of course, it's open to the public. Anyone can join. Do you have any questions? I can talk more about the grant if you're interested in learning more, or we can talk about it on Monday.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I don't have any questions right now, but thanks.
Yep, don't have any questions. Thanks, Cindy.
You're making a lot of people's lives better by moving this along, Cindy.
Oh, I sure hope so. Yeah, it's a really great project and a wonderful community to work with.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Dave Wall out there in the ether.
I am here in the ether. How are you all?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So what I have before you is a draft of a resolution that I'm kind of wanting to get some feedback on and some help on. The beginnings of this was just, with all the discussion of systemic racism and frankly, systemic sexism too. I just wanted to think about, since I felt like I was part of the system, what I could kind of do to try to mitigate that situation. One of the things that I deal a lot with, of course, is procurement and purchasing. And it does seem like throughout our history and even now, businesses, especially small businesses that are owned by women or by minority groups, have a much tougher time to compete in the system because they have diminished credit opportunities, just diminished capital opportunities in general. And so there is not currently a level playing field. And so what I'd like to do is perhaps level that playing field a bit to make sure that any purchases made by the county is actually done fairly, both for those businesses and frankly for our constituents. Our constituents expect a fair procurement process. It's in their best interest. So that's really what this resolution is about. And I was trying to figure out how to go about doing that. And I thought that I would just, kind of steal some ideas from other government agencies. So I'm going with the feds here. There is an act called the Small Business Act that provides procurement opportunities for small businesses owned by it's essentially minorities. They don't call it that. They call it socially or economically disadvantaged businesses. And there's several groups that are kind of listed in into the meaning of that and the definition of that. And then the other one is women-owned small businesses, and they also have a category called economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses. I know most of you probably know it by the acronym EDWASBA, which is the more popular way to do that. But
it's one of my favorite acronyms, Dave.
It's really catchy, isn't it? And so I thought I would use those. So those are in the Small Business Act, Section 8A for minority-owned businesses, and Section 8M for women-owned businesses. So business owners can go on to the Small Business Administration website and apply. There is no cost. They would have to go through the System of Award Management, or SAM, to get what's called a DUNS number first. But there's no cost to do any of that. And then once they are certified by the federal government as one of these businesses, when they apply for a bid or some kind of procurement with us, we can just get notice of that certification and give them a bid preference. Again, this preference is, I want to make sure that everyone understands that it's simply leveling the playing field because currently they are at a disadvantage. And so I was wondering if you all had any comments about the draft of the resolution. I'd love any feedback or any suggestions about it.
How'd you come up with the 5%, or what was your calculus there?
The 5%, I wanted it to make it meaningful, but I didn't want it to really harm the citizens of the county as far as making sure we wouldn't be paying too much. So if they got a bid preference, in other words, their bid would be for purposes of choosing a vendor, their bid would be lowered by 5%. But once they are chosen, we would pay their original bid. And so if we did say 10%, we would really be paying significantly more for a bid than the other bidders. And so it's sort of just a balance. I am definitely willing to listen to other ideas if you think there should be a different percentage. But that's how I came up with it.
And Dave, this is Dave. So the percentage would apply to the bid price. So if we're taking into account other considerations just besides lowest price, which we typically would be, how would this? I guess the question is, would this only be providing some variation on the price consideration, or how would the 5% affect anything else?
It would affect other things. You're right. We very often use other factors besides price to choose a vendor to go with. And when we do that, we normally have a sort of a scoring sheet where we say, okay, so the say the resumes of the people who are going to be working with us are worth 30%. Any past projects they would have done, or any projects the vendor would have done that are similar to what we're asking for, maybe worth 30% or something like that. And we would come up with a total score. So let's say the total score is worth 100 points, a 5% boost if it would just be adding 5% onto that total score. And so they could get a total of 105 points instead of 100. So it would work the same way as a bid, except you're increasing their score instead of decreasing their bid, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And my second question would be, as far as the categories that this would be applicable for. So as it currently stands, it would be woman-owned business or minority-owned business. Is the acronym that you referenced earlier? I guess from if you're looking at procurement within the federal government framework, is there a larger umbrella of disadvantaged groups that we would maybe want to take into consideration, or do you feel like zeroing in on these two groups is the way to go?
Well, these are the two groups that when I thought about kind of systemic prejudice, I had in mind. I think, I'm certainly open to thinking about other groups that might also be at a disadvantage, that we could also use either the federal government or some other government agency to sort of do the work of deciding they really are owned by this group. That's kind of the main question. I didn't want the county to have to make that determination. We just don't. We're just not large enough and sophisticated enough to do that. So, but certainly if there are other groups, I think I'd be happy to add them into this resolution.
Dave Strohmeyer, who are you thinking we're missing?
No one in particular. It just caught my attention that apparently there is this broader umbrella, perhaps, that the federal guidelines capture, and if there are others beyond these two groups or classifications that we're talking about here today, maybe it's worth thinking about. But I don't have anyone in any particular subset in mind right now.
And Dave Wall, is this consistent with what some other cities or counties are doing that you've looked into?
I have to be honest, I haven't looked into it too much. There's certainly in state governments, yes, it is consistent.
Maybe states
yeah.
Corollary.
Yeah. Yeah, it is definitely consistent with what many states are doing, as well as the federal government. And I'm going to assume that many counties and cities are also doing this, but my main feeling about it is if they are not, they should be. And so if we are leading the pack, that's frankly a position we're pretty comfortable with anyway. And I'm okay doing it.
I just want no, I think so too. And thanks, Dave, for breaking new ground as a county auditor. What is possible out of the auditor's office?
It's great. I'm going to say it again, Dave. The attacking midfielder, man. That's you.
Right.
I love it. I love it. It's great.
I do wonder, Dave, though, if it and I agree. If other folks aren't doing something like this, they perhaps ought to be. Might it still be worth I don't know, reaching out to National Association of Counties, or just seeing if there might be some other folks who've done something like this out there that might have some lessons learned that we could glean as we move forward with this?
Certainly, yeah, I can definitely do that.
Hey, Dave, this is Andrew. I know, I believe Human Resources has a provision in that they give preference in hiring to veterans. Is the veterans groups anything you would think about putting into that category? Veteran-owned businesses?
Yeah, I think we can certainly talk about that. In fact, I think the state does that. I'm also thinking about now people with disabilities or something like that. There are probably, other groups we can kind of look for into that. I think that's a good idea.
Those are two good groups, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And Dave, this is Dory. And
hey, Dory.
I think you and I mentioned this to you briefly before, but I know the airport follows this, and I don't have a copy of their policy, but if you wanted to, or I could reach out to Lynn Fagan at the airport. I know it was beneficial to her when she applied to be an attorney at the airport, and that's through FAA, so it's federal, but they might have some tips on what they cover and implementation.
Oh, that would be fantastic, Dory. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Great.
If anybody has any other thoughts, please, I'm definitely open to hearing them even outside this meeting. So feel free to email me or call me or anything.
Thanks for working on this, Dave.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Yeah. So just to recapture, so Dave's gonna you're gonna check with NACO, HR, airport, and kind of work through what adding veterans or disabilities looks like. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, exactly. I'll work through what other agencies are doing for those two groups and how we can add this into this resolution. And I'll also check with NACO and other groups to see what other counties or perhaps cities too. There's a association of cities and towns. Look and see if there's any resolutions out there that I can kind of steal some stuff off of.
You might want to check with GFOA as well.
Sure. I will do that. Okay. Well, does anybody else have any questions or comments?
Good job, Dave.
Good job,
thanks, Dave.
Thanks. Okay, I will get to work on it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have interesting board meetings or review of meetings or comments or instructions?
I got dropped on yesterday's Clinton fire board interview. How did it go?
Oh, she was an ideal candidate for such a thing, and we're lucky to have her.
Awesome to hear. Great.
Yeah.
Oh, we do have an interesting board meeting, and it's our very own board meeting on Thursday. We will be contemplating adoption of the joint resolution on the rail authority. So
great. On Thursday.
Thursday, yes.
So does that mean swag is soon?
The swag is.
Did I stop bugging you about this and get with Jordan? You can tell me that. I'll place an order. I mean, the graphics you guys had set up for the summit were so good.
Yeah, it came together. It's coming together well. There are daily, it seems, updates to the website for the event, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, at any moment now in the next, I think, day or so, we might have a portal such that folks can go through the website and become sponsors of the event.
That's correct. We
Okay.
should have that set up momentarily.
Beautiful.
Really great.
Awesome.
All right. Do we have any new COVID-19 ball lightning, sinkholes, Yellowstone supervolcano type items to talk about?
I don't, commissioners, good morning. I don't have anything specific to update you on other than the hot temperatures that we're seeing right now will likely result in an increase to our fire danger. This week we are remaining at fire danger level of high, though indications are that by next week we will tip over into the very high category. But if there are any questions, I'd be happy to talk about anything disaster related.
Any fires burning anywhere else we should know about?
Yeah, no, there is a fire burning up on the reservation closer to Dixon. It's about 120 acres, but that's the only one that really is in extended attack at this point in time.
Hey, did we glean anything from the MAC call yesterday related to rapid testing for COVID-19?
Dave, I've spent a bunch of time this morning and last night on this topic. Got a welt on my forehead.
So we got Antarctica. You have a ways to go yet still?
Yeah, we have a ways to go. I'm obviously don't even play a doctor on TV, so I feel like I'm out of my lane talking about these things. I have all the experience of sitting in with other medical professionals, listening to them talk about it. So my summary is that because we have a lot of people out there that have been in contact with folks who had COVID or have symptoms and are asking for testing, and we have overwhelmed the state lab, and tests are really slow right now. It looks like the state's creating a new arrangement with MSU and with a lab in, I think, North Carolina, and so we could see an increase in speed. But there are these testing machines. The health department supposedly is going to have one on Thursday. Community hospital has one called an Abbott. Curry Health Center has one. A while ago, these were kind of poo-pooed because of their lack of accuracy, but it turns out if you have a really good operator and you get a really good sample, the accuracy goes way up, and you can have a result in 20 minutes. So I'm hoping for our whole greater community that we could get more of these machines in place and make use of all the labs that can handle them. I don't know how many of those there are, but this could really help us a bunch.
Yes.
Adrian, what did I miss there or missay?
No, I think you gave a really good summary. I mean, the one of the challenges with the Abbott machine or any of the rapid testing machine is just the bottleneck is how many you can run in any given time period. So even if you're running 24 hours a day, if each test takes 20 minutes, you can do the math that you have a ceiling as to the number that you can process with one machine. So as Josh stated, the more we can get and assuring their accuracy with good operation and good calibration, the better for those rapid turnarounds.
Other things I learned, I forgot and remembered as you were talking, Adrian, was that these rapid machines, their accuracy goes up as the viral load increases. So it's much better at being accurate if you have someone who has a lot of virus in them, as opposed to an asymptomatic person. So they're not so good for sentinel testing, but would be really good for catching people who feel like they have some symptoms. The other thing that was new is that it looks like the state might be able to start doing these pooled tests where you have 4 samples at a time, which could increase speed quite a bit. I personally am really hoping that we get more of these rapid test machines out there, and because that would loosen the bottleneck at the state labs, lighten that bottleneck, right word for it.
Hey, Josh,
yeah.
When you say pooled testing, that sounds strangely like the sort of testing proposed at Smurfit Stone, where they mix all of the samples together and see what spits out.
So, Dave, what they would do is they would put 4 people's samples together, mix them all up, test them at once, and if that test comes out positive, then we know all 4 of those folks have to go get tested individually. But if it comes up negative, then we know all these 4 are clear, and we would have saved 4 tests. So we kind of waste 1 in the effort to save 4, and decrease that bottleneck.
Adrian, yeah, thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, and that concept kind of plays out with some of the workforce testing that they're thinking about being able to do. So if you pool a workforce together and they all are negative, then it allows you to get back to work.
I imagine that we'll see continual change and refinement in this arena over the coming months. Adrian, do you know if there's other labs out there besides the university that could handle such another Abbott or Sophia machine?
You know, I don't know that, Josh. I'm sorry, but I can certainly pump that over to the testing liaison and with the health department and see what they know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, if there are such labs, maybe we can help get these machines. And I get that there's a ton of coordinating and logistics on who goes where and all that. I'm not trying to make light of that at all. But I think we have the means to handle that, given there's a lot of smart people working on this, that maybe some hardware might be part of an answer to making things go faster. Adrian, would you just tell me straight up if I'm crazy?
No, I think at the root of what you're talking about is just it's the capacity to test more people and to get a quicker turnaround time for results. And anything that we can do to leverage that in our community, I think is effort well spent. But it does take a lot of coordination and money.
Yeah.
I am actually quarantined at the moment due to my daughter-in-law's father. Did a quick COVID test on Monday morning, which he got instant results and is positive. So that was through community. So the rapid test results are really nice.
Yeah. Well, I hope you weather it well, Annie.
Yeah, for sure.
So the last thing I'll say is that I think the last time we chatted, and I know I have about 30 seconds here, you know, we have some meetings set up this week to continue to talk through different funding mechanisms and federal funding and federal assistance. But as I mentioned last week, the guidance just continues to be somewhat of a moving target. So that's kind of our focus right now, is to make sure we get everything plugged into the right agency to recoup some of our costs.
Adrian, if you wouldn't mind, if you ask the testing liaison about other labs in Missoula County that might have this capacity, is it also possible to check in on what's the reimbursement potential if we were to help purchase some more of these rapid machines and cover the cost of staffing?
Well, I can tell you today it's not FEMA. That's the latest. That's the latest development, is that FEMA is no longer supporting any testing activities. But we'll try to track that down, Josh.
Thank you. All right, we all better go to our 11 o'clocks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.